How's it going, everybody? This is Rusty here at FCP Euro, and today I'm going to show you how to install the 034 Motorsport PCV upgrade kit on our 3-liter equipped Audi B9 S5. So, in front of me on my bench, we do have the multi-piece PCV upgrade kit from 034 Motorsport. It does come with the 3 hoses and 2 additional clamps. It has all the factory connection points as well. The silicone hose is a great upgrade as opposed to the corrugated hose that comes in the car. They are susceptible once they have some age, some miles, and some oil run through them to kind of crack and become brittle. Also, the factory connections on the end, after they've been manipulated a few times on and off the car, they tend to break down and don't really hold the PCV system together as well. And if you're replacing your PCV breather or doing any work on the car, it is a great time to replace any of these hoses and make sure that the PCV hoses have a much longer life than the factory unit. There was a upgrade or an update to the factory PCV hoses, and those are also starting to fall apart over time as well. So we're not really seeing much of an upgrade to the update on those hoses. This is pretty much an end-all be-all solution and should be with you for the life of the vehicle. Now, before we get started and get into some of the tools that we'll need, I do want to just bring up a slight comment that they had in the installation instructions with the 034 kit. You'll notice that there's an arrow for directing which way the air should be flowing through here. And basically, we just want to do a slight check to make sure that those valves are working correctly. So you're going to want to blow in the opposite direction of each of those valves, and you shouldn't be able to push any air through. You could even have your hand over the end to see if they're leaking by a little bit, but we're going to blow into each one of these and see if we get any air out. We're not pretty sure that we're not going to, but just want to make sure before installing this that it's operating correctly. So that one's good. And that one's good. Got plenty of pressure. And again, you can blow this way too, and you should have plenty of flow coming out of those valves. So the flow valves are in good working order. So let's go over some of the tools we'll need to get this job done. So as far as tools are concerned, for disassembly, you're more than likely just going to need a small pocket screwdriver or a 90-degree pick. For installation, operating these clamps, you may want a screwdriver and or an 8mm socket or nut driver. And with that, this is a fairly simple DIY, not many tools needed, but let's go ahead and get into it. So first up, we're going to go ahead and remove our engine cover. It's just pressed onto the grommets here, so lifting up with a little bit of force, and then set that off to the side. So some things you may see in the engine bay once you get the engine cover off is some discoloration on the hoses themselves. You can kind of see the connections are like a dark, rich black, and then the hoses start to kind of turn like a brown or light black color. And that's mostly caused from all the oil rushing through it, some of the air going through, and obviously you're going to have a lot of heat in this area. The connections on either end start to become brittle, and just removing this one very quickly, I can show you this one is actually starting to disconnect entirely. That's going to cause some vacuum leaks, and we actually just replaced this breather on here, so we thought it'd be a great time to go ahead and install the rest of the hosing. So you saw that I just removed this one by just kind of pressing that clip. If you're having any difficulty getting these to release, I'm going to go ahead and install this back on and just kind of show you a little tip. You can kind of work the clip here and pull one side or the other and kind of work one off, and keeping a little bit of tension, pulling back on that, making sure that clip is still disconnected, and work a little 90-degree pick around that until you're disengaging that. We're going to do the same thing on the lower one. This one's a lot harder to get your hand down and around the connection to release that, so you may actually need the pick for this more than the other side. Same thing, get a pick underneath the tabs here, and I'll show you a little bit closer up once I get this removed. We don't have to worry about being super careful with these because we are going to replace them. But the tabs on either side here, where the connection to the little outside goes to the body of the coupler, that's where you want to insert your pick and kind of tip outward on either side. And then we can go ahead and start working on this other connection here. So our pipe actually is missing one of the little tabs here. Generally, there'd be 2 small tabs right here where you're going to go ahead and install your pick. Once you get the pick installed, you can kind of work it in place and working this connection off at the same time. The point where we're trying to get the pick underneath is just this ridge that runs around there that catches on that intake pipe. And now once you have that off, you can go ahead and throw that in the garbage. We shouldn't need any more components from this, and we're not going to be reusing this in the future anytime soon. So once we've removed the old hose, the first step in the installation is going to be the small portion of the kit. We're going to just kind of fit this. We are going to put the clamp on afterwards. There's no necessary orientation until you get the other portion fitted, but it's definitely just easier to get this in here now. So You can certainly put a little bit of oil on the O-ring to make it fit a little bit better. I'm just going to take a little bit from the intake pipe here and run it along that. There's a little bit over here as well, and getting that on that O-ring. Otherwise, you can certainly use some silicone or dry silicone. So you're going to put it down between the oil cap as well as the throttle body area here and turn it slightly to get the clips to engage. All right, so you're going to kind of wiggle it into place, and you'll hear both clips engage. Give it a little tug, making sure it is firmly seated, and then we can go ahead and install the clamp on top of that. Making sure that the clamp is still accessible once you install it. We're going to actually put it on this way so it's a little bit easier to get to the adjustment there. So again, we're just dry fitting this loosely here, making sure that this is fully and firmly engaged. Now we can move on to the next section of the kit. So we already made sure that the check valves are operational. Got a little bit of silicone, which will make inserting the flow valve into the pipe we have already installed a little bit easier. So I'm just going to put this on my rag. A little bit of silicone spray, run that around. And we already have the clamp installed there. So we're going to fit the pipe together first. So once you've got the flow valve firmly inserted into the part you've already installed, we're going to go ahead and fit the connection on the back of the breather here. Just like we did over here, we're just going to kind of find its new home, making sure both clips engage firmly, giving it a little tug. This will still give us plenty of room to make sure that clamp is not rubbing on that harness. Pull the clamp upward. We might have to loosen that slightly to spin it. Just back it off a little bit. All right, now we can go ahead and start fitting the last portion of the kit. We're also going to go ahead and install this on the pipe as well, making sure it's orientated the same as the clamp on there. I'm going to get a tiny bit of the silicone spray on my finger, run that around there, making sure get all around that. Clamp on, wiggle that into place, and then just like all before, making sure that it's firmly secured. Now we can go back and tighten up all the clamps, getting them all nice and nice. And we're going to go ahead and secure those with the 8mm, making sure that we don't slip off and poke the hose with the flathead. This one I'm just going to back off slightly so I can get this more into a uniform position with the other one. And this clamp connection doesn't have to be super tight. We're just going to get it secured and then give it like a quarter turn once you get it down there. Kind of similar to the same tension that's on the clamp right next to it. Now we'll go back and finish securing this clamp, making sure that nothing's binding, nothing's rubbing. There is a harness that runs underneath here, so you want to make sure that this clamp is not actually rubbing into that harness. So we're just going to kind of wiggle this up into place. I'll back this off just a tiny bit more. So making sure we got plenty of clearance between the wire harness underneath. We'll snug this back in. And again, you'll notice I'm not really going crazy on how tight this is. Making sure these are all securely and firmly engaged. Nothing is popped out of place. So once you've tightened down all the clamps, just give everything a once over, make sure everything is secure and not in obstruction of anything else. And we have pretty much successfully installed our PCV upgrade kit. Hopefully we won't have to worry about this hose any longer. And we just got to install our engine cover and we're pretty much done here. All right, and that pretty much takes care of today's DIY. If you guys enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, get down in the comment section below. As always, we'll have plenty more videos on this vehicle and many others like it, so don't forget to subscribe. And thank you guys so much for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.